Way back. So what's up?
What's going on? We
Hey,
back.
we back, man. It's your boy Troy,
It's your boy Sean.
and we tapped in once
Tapping
again.
in. That's for sure, man. So if you tap it in, as always, like, comment, share. Hey, we want to hear from you. Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok.
The whole
Everywhere.
nine, all of them. We everywhere.
We everywhere.
Yes, sir. What's going on, man? How was your week so far, man?
Man, we've been good. Man, it's been a hot.
Oh
last-
yeah,
These last two, like summer is.
man.
It's
I'm
here.
ready for it. I'm ready for it, man.
After the day, I don't know if I'm
No.
ready, man. I don't know if I'm ready, man.
Came out
When I walk
nowhere.
outside in the morning, it's like at 8, 7 o'clock, and it's hot. Like,
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
I don't need all that.
Hey,
I don't need
man.
all that.
Yeah.
I know my skin's supposed to be built for it, but man, my spirit ain't.
Hey, it'll break you.
Yeah.
It'll make you sit still too.
Yeah,
Yeah,
sure,
it'll
man.
make you
And
sit
man,
still.
you move too much.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you start sweating in places, creases that you mean you didn't even know was there. You didn't even know they was there. Man.
Yeah. Man, I truly thank God, man, for just having simple luxuries, air conditioning, things like that, man. I walked to the mailbox. I'm like, man, almost wanted to get in my car and drive.
Well, no cap. That's what I did when I came home today because I had to do some stuff outside today. Man, I came home, walked in the door, AC was pumping. I was like, man, Lord, I thank you for this AC.
Oh yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
something simple.
Yeah,
You know what I mean, but it's like, hey, everybody don't have it. So a
Yeah.
hot day, man. Because I remember, I think it might have been 2 years ago, we had an issue with our heat pump.
man. Hey,
You couldn't escape it, man.
man, make you grateful on it, man.
You couldn't escape it, man. That heat was on me.
Man, I'm trying to think about back in the day, man. Do they make fans different? Because I had it happen maybe 3 or 4 years ago.
Uh-huh.
And man, I had that fan, electric fan, and that fan wasn't doing nothing. I'm like, man, these the same fans my mom had in her house.
I mean, nobody had air conditioning then. You know what I mean? So that
Any condition was better than
better than the standard condition.
So we spoiled now.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Oh man,
Sure, man.
God, I think.
You know what I mean? They take that AC away, man. Jokers they leave.
Oh,
They
yeah.
leaving the country. They moving to wherever, and they got AC.
Man, I'm with him.
Oh man, it's cool. Hey man, so tonight is game 6.
Yeah,
Game 6. OKC, Indiana. Is it closeout or
close out. It's closed out.
done
man.
deal?
Yeah, I think it's closed out.
Close out.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd like for it to be closed out, man, but man, the stuff I'm hearing more and more with these guys on the sports podcast, I'm wondering if some of this stuff is scripted, man.
It's almost like they know it on it. You're just listening to them.
Yeah, it's all you know what I mean. Shaq was saying I think his first championship with Phil, they was playing in the first round, and he overheard him tell somebody. Now this is the first round of the Western Conference Finals, so not second, not semi, quarters, not semi. He said he heard Phil Jackson say, "Hey, we're gonna be playing Indiana. Go find us some, get some hotels in Indiana."
Wow. And how would he know that ahead of time?
Not unless he knew they was that good that they was gonna run through, and he thought like Indiana was that good and they was gonna run through. And
Man, he got the
kind
call.
of wishful thinking.
He got the call, man. Stretch it out.
So see, I don't want to believe that because I don't want to believe that my goat was scripted, man.
To a certain extent. I don't think it's like a total lay down, but I think fall back a little bit. You know what I mean? Let Mike get off, let Kobe get off, but everybody else, you know what I mean? Because it has to look believable too.
Yeah, but do you think like some players they just not going? They ain't gonna follow the script.
No,
Mike is one of those guys where they probably even if it was scripted, they was like, "Yo,
yeah, they're gonna keep it away from Mike. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Let him get off, but everybody else look might get in, Rodman there, look, his rebounds tonight. Okay, you know.
But I mean, when it comes down to the win, Mike is not going. He's not just gonna be like, "Oh yeah, I'm just gonna lose."
Yeah.
That's not gonna happen, man.
I mean,
Kobe
Kobe
wasn't gonna
either.
do it. Kobe
Yeah,
wasn't gonna do
Kobe
it
either.
either. Kobe, like it's only a couple of ball players that's come through where they wasn't gonna follow the
Yeah,
script.
no. Now AI either. I don't think AI would do it.
No, man,
They
he tried.
dogs, man.
He tried this. He tried to beat y'all with Theo Ratliff, Aaron
Yeah,
McKee,
yeah.
Eric Snow, and beat y'all game one of the finals.
What about Brian, man? You think he'll do it? Hey,
I,
we love Brian, man, but
I love Bron, but I don't know. You know what? I honestly say I can't say yes. I can't say no because he wanted to be the greatest. Everything else he's done, I mean, he's quote unquote. I mean, they say okay, he's not a scorer, but he got more points than anybody that's ever played in the NBA.
yeah,
Right? He got four championships.
yeah,
Four. I
yeah.
mean, four championships.
Hmm.
Played in the league. This is 23rd season,
Oh yeah,
and still probably top 10 in the league. I mean,
but
at 40,
that longevity can speak to being a part of
the
the
program.
program.
But I mean, he still had to stay healthy.
Oh
He still
yeah,
had to take care of his body,
yeah,
and he didn't really have no major, what I mean, major injuries that set him
yeah,
back
yeah,
or anything like that.
yeah, yeah.
But I mean, I ain't gonna say that.
Go, what you gonna say other than
Not-
what?
Other than them toes.
That's what I said. Yeah, boy, when he retired, man, he might be an amputee, boy. Good God.
Yeah, nah. Hey, Bron, we love you, man. Just in case you come across this, man, no shade, but I take them toes any day with
Oh
that
yeah,
shit.
man. Listen, $1 billion. They $1 billion toes,
$1 billion
man.
toes, man. They look like it too. They
Yeah,
look like $1 billion toes.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
No
For
doubt.
sure. But I mean, today is Juneteenth, man.
Juneteenth, man.
Juneteenth. That's when some of us found out that man, we was free a couple years ago.
1865, man. That's us.
1865.
Yeah, man. What was it? What was that at anyway? Was it
There
Texas?
was
Uh,
yeah, I want to say Texas.
Texas. I
Yeah,
think it was
Texas,
Texas
Texas,
when
yeah.
we found out that we was actually free.
Yeah.
And that's
Couple years.
something. Yeah, but man. I mean, it's parallel to some of the things today. It's like we find out late. We never get it up front.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And is that by design?
Absolutely, it's by design, man.
Okay.
Yeah, it's definitely by design. But thank God, man, we got more ways of finding out.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think that's the important thing for people with with platforms that have access to the information.
Oh yeah,
You know, what I mean, when we came up, we didn't know who to even talk to, or who even had the information or knowledge that we was trying to gain to be able to reach out to them to ask them the questions. Now,
right,
like the youth, they don't have a reason not to know how to do something. You know what I
right.
mean? You can find a TikTok or YouTube short, a podcast
Oh yeah,
that talks about exactly what you're thinking about doing, or somebody who has expertise to point you in the right direction
right.
to get there.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know what I
There's
mean?
no excuse. Really,
Yeah,
no
no,
excuse.
no excuse at all. And then, I mean, just the other thing is that I was hearing, about the feeling of enough.
Hmm.
And when you think about like Juneteenth and the fact that you had people that were still working under a certain system, not knowing that they was free.
Hmm.
And then the fact that the was created during that time frame, and then you think about who did the work.
Right.
I mean,
Yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
so to not think that you not enough, it's crazy
Right.
because you built it.
Look at our history, but when you can't look at history, but you have to look at
Ah,
our history,
right,
and it does give you a sense of pride knowing that we built this with our bare hands.
right. But then, if you read what it said in books, we was lazy.
Yeah, yeah,
So we can build a country, but we're too lazy to work.
yeah.
That's
And
crazy.
and that's why it's important to be careful what you take in. You know what I mean?
Right.
And what you subscribe to, because I had teachers, man, even when I was in school, because man, I'm a smart guy, but I learned different than
Hmm.
some of the other people. I have to hear it. Like I can't sit down until this day. I can't sit down and actually read a book silently
Hmm.
and really get it. I
Right.
have to either read it out loud. I
Hmm.
have to hear it. That's how I learn.
Right.
But if I would listen to a teacher that said, "Oh man, he's lazy or he can't get it," I could have easily subscribed to that and been in resource special ed. But I said, "Nah, it's just different." So you're gonna have to sit here and let me read this out loud
Right.
because this is
That's
how
how I've been
I get
learning.
it. You know
Right.
what I mean? And I do that now. Just till this day, I get a piece of mail. Sometimes I tell my wife that they read that too
Right.
because I get it better
Right.
that way. Yeah. So
That's
yeah.
what's up. So, man, again, man, Juneteenth is about a celebration of our heritage
All right, man.
and what what we endured, and the fact that, hey, this is the day we all found out that we was free and able to go after whatever our dreams
Oh,
were at
no
that
doubt,
point
no
in time.
doubt.
I mean,
Look,
so
so I got a trivia question for you.
okay.
Juneteenth, folks. What was the drink that we chose to stamp Juneteenth? Like, what was the drink?
What was the drink?
Yeah.
Lemonade.
Nah, man, it shocked me. I was at a Juneteenth event, man, last night, man. I just found this out. Strawberry soda.
Straw, strawberry.
Yeah, yeah,
That's
it was that
that,
research.
that
That was
sounds refreshing though.
yeah,
Sounds
strawberry
refreshing.
soda,
Strawberry
man.
soda.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah.
take that.
So you take it?
I'll take it. I'll take it.
Okay. That's us, man. That's us.
I take it. So, man, look, we both, we have a professional field that we work in.
Hmm.
And even with you right now, I mean, you got locks, you got some tats. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't have no locks, I don't have no tats,
Right.
right? But is how do you feel about that in the workplace nowadays?
Eh, I feel like it's acceptable now. You know what I mean? I feel like it gives individuality, and I always been a firm believer in it anyway. Now, as far as the locks, I always been a firm supporter of that. Now, some of the tattoos and stuff, not all tattoos are tasteful,
Hmm.
and certain professions it may be frowned upon, but far as the locks, man, I feel like when you're in a professional setting and you're trying to influence generations and people to come behind you, they have to see somebody that look like them.
Hmm.
So if everybody clean cut,
Hmm.
everybody, nobody has beards and all that, it seems unattainable because I gotta look like this, and I
Right,
just don't look like that. You know what I
right,
mean?
right.
Maybe 15 years ago it was more of a challenge, but I think now I don't see it being a big deal.
Right. And it's crazy, man, because I'm gonna be transparent. Um, 'Cause I grew up in my mom was a cosmetologist, so I grew up around hair. But my mom never did locks. She
Uh huh.
did she did natural. She would do natural hair.
Right.
She never did weaves or anything like that. She
Hmm.
did perms and that kind of thing. But I'll be honest with you, you know, the perception when I was young of like locks in a professional workspace, or like a an attorney or a doctor, like for whatever reason, and I'm not talking about as an adult, older adult, but like as a young, so I would say back maybe in high school,
Uh huh.
um, yeah, I would say high school until I got into college. I was thinking, I don't know if that's professional, if that's a professional look,
Right.
or if I would trust that person who had locks, or I would trust. I can't say I had that same thing as far as tattoos go,
Uh huh.
because you can wear a shirt and cover up
Right.
tattoos, right? But let's just say I saw somebody with tattoos on their face.
Oh yeah.
That, like, I'm a question.
Their decision making at that.
Like I had to think. I'm like, yo, why did I feel that way about somebody who looked like me,
Mm,
who was wearing their hair in a natural sense, but it was always demonized and what was portrayed on TV.
right.
But then when you really do the research, it's just like, okay, well, if you had long hair and you black, either it's gonna be an afro, you're gonna braid it,
Right.
or you're gonna lock it. That's the only way you can get. That's the only way you're gonna have long hair, and that's natural. We're not doing anything extra
Right.
to our hair. That's just what our hair does
Right. Natural.
naturally.
Hmm.
And it's just like, if that was my choice, it's no different than a woman wearing an afro or a guy wearing cornrows, or a woman wearing cornrows.
Hmm.
Um, it shouldn't. it shouldn't have made me question their intelligence or their ability to be able to do whatever profession they was in,
Right.
right? And so that is about, I mean, that's totally different for me now because you have to over time you just embrace who and what you are,
Oh yeah.
and you realize like, okay, well, why? I mean, you really have to take a look in the mirror and be like, okay, why did I feel that way about somebody that had locks?
Yeah. 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 I mean, because you want the best for your people, and you want, and we had to play the game, and that was even with our parents too.
Right.
You know what I mean? But now I think we to a point now where there's so many people that then excel with their own, in their own natural state that now it looks it's normal. It's more accepted. But I will say, if you're going to be professional, you have to be professional. So that means being kept. You know what I mean?
Right.
You got to go to a stylist. You got to have it taken care of. You
Right.
can't be unkept. That's just no difference than a
You-
man guy with a beard or whatever. You
When you
gotta be
saying kept,
groomed.
you mean like not free form or free form but maintenance,
Free
or the
form
kind
on
that's like where
purpose.
it's hanging like
Yeah, I mean, you're gonna have to go to a cosmetologist. You're gonna have to
it's gonna be
go.
clean. It need to smell
Yeah,
like
smell good. It's
yeah.
gonna
Okay,
have to
okay,
keep
okay,
your
okay.
shape up
Right,
and
right,
all
right,
that. I
right, right,
mean, you got to be presentable. No
right.
matter what you're presenting, it still has to be
Hygiene has
presentable.
to be
Yeah,
has to be there
yeah.
with it. And I agree with you with that. But just to touch on that subject a little bit more, man, because I think for me when I look back on it, the biggest thing that started to change was for me when I was in college is when I went from the local community college and then I went to the HBC, the local HBCU.
Right, right.
And my so and from elementary to community college,
Hmm.
my classrooms, my teachers, all of it looked the same.
Right.
I go to a HBCU and it's the total opposite,
Mm.
right?
Hmm.
And so now I'm in my physics class, physics teachers asking people what they want to be. A girl sitting next to me who, yeah, uh, I mean, I don't know what I thought she wanted to be, but she was like, I'm pre med. I want to be a doctor. And I can't remember what she said. I'm
Hmm.
like, word? Like for real? How many black doctors have you seen around here at that point in time?
Right, right.
Right.
Yeah.
And so like sometimes it was just nothing that you thought of, or the people that was in my class throughout, high school, it was the top of the class. I mean, the top of the class, you could see them, if they were black that wanting to be a doctor or wanting to be a lawyer. But when you sitting in the classroom of 40 people and 10 of them are pre-med and they act, they talk, they dress, they everything like you. They not like the preppy person that you saw in high school
Right.
that fit this particular mold. They was like me.
Yeah.
And that's like for me, like it started cracking that kind of that perception, some of those con- conceptions that I had of what you could and what you could not do, and
Right.
what you had to look like in order to accomplish a certain thing. And so to me, that was a pivotal moment in my life. Even though I feel like I'm a very open-minded person, a very strong person, um, and I love our people, but there were some things that I had opinions on that I didn't realize why I had that
Hmm.
and where it came from.
Yeah, I mean that's what we was fed. That's what
Right.
we was taught. But and then also like if I would speak to like the younger generation now, even with tattoos, man, I feel like when you're yourself, I mean, you can perform better. However, I feel like there is a time and place for everything.
Right.
So if you're aspiring to do something, sometimes you have to get in the door first.
Right.
You
Before
know what
you
I mean? You
right.
before you can go all out.
Right.
Because you have to prove yourself to
Right.
a certain. And I've had to do that my whole life, certain times, just because my fashion sense and things like that. You have to get to know me first without all the distraction.
Right.
And then once you realize, oh, he's capable, now you're gonna get the
Right.
real me.
Yeah, because you got people that's in the program that have never experienced our culture and have been fed that same thing and never had a reason to question it or
Right.
anything. So when they see you appear a certain way, they put you in this box over here
From the gate.
from the gate. And and again, that's what allows you to be able to get the access. You could cut your hair off and be nice and groomed to get the job, and then 6 months in, okay, they see what I can do.
Mhm.
I'm gonna bring my stuff back.
Oh
So
yeah.
now you're not judging me based off of what I look like. You're judging me based off of how I perform,
Right.
right? And
Yeah.
now you can easily see past that. But the other thing is, it's important for people, like you who are in that position, uh, because you kind of trailblaze a path. So now that kid that's got the locks that walks in the door to like, okay, he could
Right.
be like Troy. I can't because he got locks and he got tats.
Right.
I know some great people like that. You know what I mean? And to be able to get the benefit of the doubt
That
like
are
that.
assets.
Yeah,
Right. Yeah.
right.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. No
Yeah.
doubt,
So
man. So hey, at the end of the day, man, be yourself, man. You gotta
for sure,
operate in your comfort
you
zone. You
got
know
to.
what I mean?
You got to be authentically you and who you are, man. I think, and the one thing, like especially for men, I think I think fathers play a big role in that,
Mm,
right?
absolutely.
And
Yeah.
teaching their kids that they enough.
Hmm.
So like what I want to ask you, you hear we're just coming off of Father's Day, right?
Hmm.
What's the difference between a father and a dad?
Mm. That's a good question, man. I mean, and actually, I was watching something not too long ago, man. I believe a dad is it's just a biological thing. It's the donor. It's the dad is bloodline. You know what I mean? That's your seed. That's your child. That automatically puts you into being a dad.
So I'm gonna say I'm gonna disagree with you with that, because I'm gonna say the biological sperm part make you a father. Because wait a
Mm-mm.
sec, no,
Okay.
because what did you call your dad?
I call him dad.
Right.
Hmm.
You didn't call him father.
Right.
You called him dad. Right. And so I think the person who is there and instills those values in you is your dad.
Okay. So let me.
But the person who, what I mean, gave you them grits, that's your father.
Okay. So let me hit you from a different angle.
Okay.
Tell you why I disagree.
All right.
Dad, noun. It's just a noun. Dad. It describes who you are.
Okay.
Father could be action. Can
Okay.
be an action word. So even we sing hymns and stuff in church. God father me, fathered it.
Mm-hmm.
He fathered him.
Mm-hmm.
He So that is a verb. So that means you have to do something.
Okay. So I tell you what, I stand corrected on
Okay. Okay.
that. A
Yeah.
father is an action word, right?
Right. Hmm.
Right. I
Yeah.
guess they put in the action too, huh?
Yeah. Yeah.
They had to get the motion to get there, right?
Yeah. Yeah. He put in action, and
Yeah,
it's an
yeah.
action word. Yeah. Because a dad, I mean, that's just a child. That's my dad. He, the guy that now a father, I feel like is the person that actually put the works in and
Pour it into
fathers.
you.
Yeah.
Pour it into you. Yeah, and I think it's a different. I think it's a difference, man, because I was listening to. It's crazy because you'd never know by the way he looked, because he don't look like what he's been through. But Dejounte Murray, basketball player,
Uh huh.
he was on the Pivot podcast, and he was just talking about, man, how like he called his first case when he was 11.
Good God.
You know what I
I love
mean? Been around death and this kind of destruction all of his
it.
life.
Hmm.
Um, and you know, growing up not having a father, trying to navigate and get the values
Hmm.
of who and what he is. And he was talking about the things that he had to do just in order to survive. And he was just like, I now that I'm older, I'm not going to go back and forth with somebody, like arguing, trying to prove what I am, or like
Uh
I'm
huh.
this tough or whatever. He's like, because I don't glorify that.
Right.
Like the pain that I'm going through right now as an adult male
Hmm.
is because of some of the decisions that I made back then, and I don't like it.
Right.
You know what I mean? So what you try, and I think like that's, from a, when you're a present father, I think you allow your kids, you give them a head start,
Absolutely. No doubt.
an emotional head start,
Yeah.
to understand like, hey, look, this is what you come from. This is who and what you are. You don't have to prove to somebody else,
Right.
that you know, live up to their standard. It's just like, no, this is who I am. This is what I am. This is what I do. I don't have to put on a show to convince somebody that this is who I am.
Right. Right.
At that point in time, I am trying to mask insecurities that I personally have
Hmm.
because I don't want you to actually see who I really am. I think, as being a father, the quicker that you can get your kids to be confident in who and what they are, who and what their talents are, be authentic and true to who they are, that's the cheat code.
It is.
Because it allows them to operate in life with confidence, but also understand that, when you come up with something that's confrontational, it's just like you don't necessarily now you don't have to be the one to swing first, but you have to be the one to defend yourself,
You're right.
right?
Right.
And you don't have to be the one to what I mean to try to escalate up to their level because you could walk away.
You secure and
Right. Yeah,
yeah,
I don't have
whatever.
to sit here and tough,
Right.
to prove my manhood to you, for what?
Yeah. Yeah.
I'd rather, like, yo, man, you got this. Yeah, and be able to come back another day.
As a father, though, I will say, I believe a lot of us miss a step by not being as transparent because it's we want the best for our kids, especially our sons. So we want them to see a strong man. We want them to see a great decision maker. We want them to see, someone that displays some type of patience. But then we all have double two sides.
Right.
And it's a side where sometimes we're unsure. It's a side sometimes we want to spaz out, we want to snap, and I think it's important for your kids to see both of that because if they never feel like something's wrong with them later on, like why am I feeling this way? Why I'm acting like that? Because dad never act like this, but yeah, dad's scared sometimes. Dad don't have all the answers sometimes.
Right.
So son, listen, we in a rough time right now, but I'm gonna figure it out. Instead of, oh, don't worry about this, man. Everything, you know what I mean? Like,
So, and it's crazy, man, because that is as a father, that's a hard thing to do. Um, is and it's the emotional things or the things that you personally through life have struggled with.
hmm
Things that this is like they might not be present right now, but hey, this is something that my child might struggle with if if they're not aware.
right,
Like that hey, you're susceptible to this being an issue for you because this was an issue for me.
right,
But it's
absolutely.
hard to get to that place. So I'm gonna ask you because this is like this particular thing right here. You're right. A lot of men don't do it because I think a lot of times they feel like they haven't really conquered it.
Well,
And it's hard for them to share because it's just like, okay, well, if I tell you this and I'm still trying to work my way through it, then I can't give you the answer.
I think it's breaking generational curses, and I'm glad we segue in here, man, because we haven't even talked about this. But it's Men's Mental Health Month, man.
Right, right.
So and I think a lot of that does play into your mental health. So let's just say if you get a 17, 18-year-old son who's dealing with lust issues,
Hmm.
and you know that in your younger days you dealt with lust,
Right.
and through self introspection or or prayer, whatever, you conquer it, but that don't mean that wasn't once a part of you.
Right.
So now he's going through it on his own,
Hmm.
And wow, I feel like this dad, he's been always been with mom. He's always doing this,
Right,
and
right,
you've never been transparent. Say, hey, son, man, I was a wild boy. You know what I
right,
mean?
right, right.
He almost feel it becomes a shameful
Right.
instead of being transparent. Say, hey, man, all men go through this, man. I had to, find out what I really wanted in life because I was everywhere.
Right.
And I feel like a lot of men struggle silently because they want to please, their parents, their fathers,
Hmm.
and the fathers aren't being
Transparent.
transparent.
Right. And I think that's what it all comes down to is just uh, being it's weird because the kind of the trick of the devil is to make you think like you're the only one going through it.
Yeah, that's it.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Hmm.
And the more you talk about it, the more you realize that it's not just you that's going through it.
Right.
That most, what I mean, there's a lot of things that everybody struggle with, but they don't say anything, so they kind of left like, yo, man, I'm less of a person because,
Hmm.
man, I haven't been able to overcome this, or I have, what I mean, why do I have this issue? And it's like, nah, man, you're not by yourself. And I think honestly, you can have that conversation with your kid, but I think you should be able to. I think you should have a circle of men around you, people,
Hmm.
what I mean, men of your peers and your elders that you can be transparent with.
See, but you're right. But that's where it stems from. Because I think, man, when I think back to growing up and we grew up in a church where people came from everywhere. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Religion.
Hmm.
I'm gonna take it there. Religion. And as a young man, you would think that every meal in that church was perfect
Hmm.
because they'll tell you, "Oh, you shouldn't do this," or "I do this." I poke their chest out because on these areas, but none of them is talking about their
Yeah.
shortcomings.
Right.
And it's like, okay, I sit around you guys. You're my peers. You're my elders. But I don't feel like how y'all feel every day.
Right. Right.
Man, why do I still want to, pick up this and pick up that?
Right.
Because they wasn't being transparent.
Right.
You know what I mean? So even if you have that around you, you have to make sure you have the ones around you that are willing to give you the real game, the
Right.
truth.
The
Like, no,
truth.
it took me 10 years to get out of this. It took me losing a marriage to get
Get out.
this. It
Right.
took, what I mean? Let's be
Yeah. Let's be
honest in
honest.
that way.
Yeah. But I think that kind of goes back to the trauma that we've been through.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, not us, but our fathers, our grandfathers, our great grandfathers. When you think if you had a wife and let's just be real, like what I mean, in slavery, you had a wife and I mean, master could come take your wife, get her pregnant, she got to have a child,
Mm.
and she still got to be your. And it's just like she didn't do that because she wanted to.
Hmm.
She might have did that because she ain't wanting to kill you.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or what I mean, it's not like that was they agreed to that. It was just like, okay, if you don't do this,
Yeah. Victim of circumstance,
yeah.
pretty
And
much.
so, like, you think about how emotionally what that do to you,
Yeah.
and how it
You
shuts you down.
detach. You detach.
Yeah, you detach, and then it's just like that, along with the other trauma, keeps getting passed along,
Mm.
and we never really deal with it. And now we just, it's just like the person that go to jail at 18 and get out at 40. Mentally, out in the world, they're still an 18-year-old.
That's it.
And
Yeah.
so, like, emotionally, we still probably like two generations behind because we now just starting to get therapy. We now
Hmm.
just starting to have these kind of conversations and being real with one another. Like, yo, man, I really don't have it all that on the outside. Look like I got it all together, man, but I'm struggling.
Right. Right.
You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Because we never was given the tools.
Hmm.
So unless you know, through prayer or whatever, get a revelation
Hmm.
to change your thought process, you kind of go along with the norm.
And that can last. through all of your successes, through all of your, relationships, and still looking good on the outside,
Mhm.
but suffering inside. And that's when you get the I don't like the reference, but that's when you get the ditties and
Mhm.
you know what I mean? Like, okay, everything looks good, but I'm still dealing with
This
issues from, you know what I
this
mean?
trauma or whatever, but
Yeah.
trauma issues. Because you can't really say trauma. It
Hmm.
could be issues that you just deal with personally on the
Yeah.
inside, and it's just like you trying to get these, you trying to deal with it and act like everything's okay, but it's not okay.
Yeah.
So does does that play a part in, for 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 black men as they get more and more successful? Is that an endangerment to them?
Very much so. Very much so. And I think we're seeing it a lot. Not and just being black and successful and rich, it automatically puts a target on your back. But to be black, successful, and rich with unresolved issues puts a bigger target on your back because it makes you an easier money track. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Because okay, if you haven't dealt with these issues and now you reaching a point where you're elite,
Mhm.
it's gonna come back because you haven't dealt with it. So whether it's in show, the your relationships, the way you party, the things that come out your mouth, you're
Mhm.
gonna set yourself up if you haven't
Take
resolved that issue.
right.
You know what I mean? So it's best to deal with it on the surface level down here because I mean professionally, man, some people is addicted to growing. You know what I mean? Well, and when I mean by that, they're addicted to success.
Mhm.
So they can have other addictions, but success is what they thrive off of. So, and they can, everything else can be kind of in the background. You know what I
Right.
mean? They
Right.
might not be a good parent, might not be a good husband, they might not, but what I know how to do
Just be
is be
successful.
successful.
Right.
And once you get to a certain point, you still got to go back and deal with everything that you neglected. And I think when you're around certain people, people are intelligent. They can find the chink in your armor.
Right.
And that's what they do. Some people study people and they say, okay, yeah, he getting to that money. And then they'll find out your chink in your armor and cater right to that.
Right.
And then you're a victim.
Right.
Yeah. Because you play, you know what I mean? And that's what we're saying with a lot of our black successful men now.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, you get to a you yeah you get to a point where you become too successful and it looks like it's too attainable, and it's like, okay, well, now we got to figure out a way to make them think like it's not worth it,
Right.
that
Right.
it's not worth it.
Yeah.
That next person is coming along,
Make them afraid.
make
Make
them
them afraid.
yeah,
Yeah.
make them
Because
afraid.
now they're gonna go in your closet and they're gonna pull out your skeletons and
Right.
all of that.
And why do that? Because we all have that.
Right.
We all got that we all have that thing that we have to be honest with ourselves about, right?
Hmm.
I think if you're being honest with yourself, and then you have people that that are generally have your best interest in mind, not trying to take from you, not when they call you or text you, it's hey, how you doing? And then the next text, hey, can you
Right.
right? What I mean, but the people that's happy birthday, man. Hey, how's things going? Just reaching out to you. That makes it. And I know we talk about it a lot of times, but I think that's why it's important. I think that's why it's important to have that person by your side. You know what I mean? A husband or a wife
Oh yeah.
that can go through that with you, right? Because they got, what I mean, if the relationship is tight, they see your blind spots.
Hmm.
They're gonna tell you what your blind spots are,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
And what I mean, they're gonna work with you on, what I mean, work with you through that and on it. But they're also, what I mean, they looking when you're not looking. They paying
Hmm.
attention when you're not paying
Oh
attention.
yeah. Yeah.
But then also on the outside, it's not one of them that we got to get. it's two.
Oh yeah, yeah,
You know
yeah.
what I mean? And that's a lot harder. You know what I mean? That's a lot harder to break through that.
Oh yeah,
You know what I mean? Because if you can be locked in over here, okay, now there's only a certain couple of ways that you can even attack me now.
yeah.
You know, unless I truly let my guard down.
Right.
You know,
But on the flip side of that, I'm sorry I didn't mean to cut you
that's
off because I was thinking I had a thought earlier when we was talking about like success and people try to find a chink in your armor. That's why I think so many people admire DMX because it's not one bag that he got that they can come on the side door and say, "Well, did you know he smoked crack? Or did you know he did this?" Because he was an open book.
right.
If you hired me, you gave me a check, and I reached this level of success, my album went platinum. I did this being my authentic self.
Hmm.
So I don't have to live in fear of what can possibly happen. And I think a lot of our successful men, they live in that fear because they know that the system has something on them. You get invited to these parties. You go to places and they're gonna get you out of character on purpose.
Right.
So we're gonna hold this against you.
Hmm.
So now when you get to the point where you say, I'm gonna make my own, call my own shots, I'm not gonna, hey, you remember that time?
Yeah. Or you get that text. Whoop,
Yeah,
look at it, but
yeah, you want this to go public? And you gotta fall back and line up.
right.
DMX didn't have that
Yeah. Nah. I
problem.
mean, had all them babies' moms,
Yeah,
all the I mean addiction. I mean everything, man. And then
but it's freedom.
it was freedom. But man, then man, he you might not even know, but he prayed about
Yeah,
it out in the open, right before the concert,
that's it.
during the concert.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? This is what I'm going through.
Yeah, he really set a blueprint of how, and a lot of us can't do that because in our workplaces and stuff like that, you have to uphold a certain standard.
Right, right,
But just to be able to walk around free and say, "This is me." You catch him at a hotel and he's out of sorts. Guess what? Oh, that's X,
right. Yeah, and we already know
man.
this.
We already know.
I mean, he true to who he is.
Yeah.
But you know what? We talking about that. We're talking about the successful men, which you know we've touched on it about about Diddy's situation, right?
Hmm.
So it's been going on for a while, and I'm just like being real. The only thing he right now is guilty of, for real, is being freaky, man.
That's been slippery free.
It's being and since when was that a crime?
With consensual grown adults.
Right.
Yeah.
And so like so that made me go a little bit further and be like, okay, I can guarantee you before this happened, he probably thought he had some friends.
Uh huh.
I haven't until like last week, the only person that I seen pull up in support of him was Ye.
Yeah.
Until last week, there was nobody on his level that's come out and be like, hey, look, this man innocent until he proven guilty. You know what I mean? Or what we talked about. And again, this could be something that this was a side of him that he didn't let certain people see. So maybe they didn't even know.
Right.
But just the lack of the people that's supposed to be down, like his sons is holding him down.
Right.
Like they
Of course.
supporting him.
Yeah.
But you mean to tell me you this successful, you've been working around all of these people for all of these years and you don't got nobody?
And these the people that you fed on a daily basis, the ones that made their living off of
Offer
you,
you. Yeah.
and nobody. And you can't be that. Listen, we know that everybody consists of a lot, good, bad, whatever. You something different to everybody.
Right.
It's somebody that he was good to,
Right.
and they won't even step up and say, "Nah, that's what I mean."
Yeah. Like, I mean, even what I just said.
Yeah,
Like, okay, yeah, man, he like what he like.
yeah,
But that what does that have to do with him being a businessman or the things that he did to support all of the people that he employed?
hmm,
Right? Did he do was he disrespectful to me? You know, he talk crazy sometimes, but like what are they saying? Nobody's coming out and saying that he's done anything to them that warrants them filing a case or
right,
some kind of civil action or something like that. I mean, this was just solely built off of
yeah. And it's contradictory too, man, because how you gonna win a lifetime achievement award and everybody celebrate you? Now on this side, the same people that celebrate you saying, "Oh, I didn't know that about him." But what did you celebrate? You didn't celebrate him for
that.
that. you celebrate him for what
All the
he's done and all his accolades and what he was able to attain. And we so quick as a culture to throw our own away anyway.
right.
And I'm not saying I'm in support of him because if what they say, you play stupid games, you win stupid prizes. Hey, that's just what you get. But at the same time, we can't be quick to say because we know that he's a part of something bigger too.
Right.
Yeah, and I mean he was making some moves, and sometimes when you try to pave way for people and you get out of line, they got a way of saying, "Hey, line back up."
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah. I mean, because even he gets off. Let's just say he gets off. It's gonna be years before he able to
Move the way.
move the
Yeah,
way that he was moving. It just is what it is. And so, regardless of what, I think what they were trying to accomplish, they probably have accomplished, which was deplete his assets.
yeah, yeah.
Like, okay, you you're gonna have to work twice as hard to get back to wherever it was you was at. But again, like I'm not condone like if it was something that was non-consensual or anything like that, not condoning that. But I'm like, okay, well, where are your real ones at?
Right.
Where are the real people that rock with you
No
at?
doubt. No doubt.
Uh,
Well,
I
so
wasn't
man,
expecting that to go there, but
yeah, it's good stuff though.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So real estate, man. Let's talk about some of the tax advantages, man.
So I would say, like, as far as real estate, the biggest tax advantage is once you purchase a house, um, all of the all of the interest that you
Hmm.
pay. So when you get a 30-year mortgage, for the first 15 years, most of that payment is all interest.
Right.
So if your payment's $1,500 a month, like 14.99 is interest,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
Is interest. So at the end of the year, you can write that interest off,
Hmm.
um, and like that's money that actually you can keep in your pocket, right?
Right. Uh-huh.
So if you're, if you have the income, so if they say, okay, well, you owe this much in taxes, but you pay this much in interest,
It kind
it
of
kind of,
offset it.
yeah, it offsets it,
Uh-huh.
especially for people who are, good earners, high, I'm not gonna say high net worth earners, but middle class earners, it's always in their best interest to have some real estate that they own.
Oh yeah.
And now you don't get that. Now you also can get depreciation on the asset itself.
Hmm.
You can depreciate, so you can write off the interest, but then you can depreciate the the asset that you or the house that you bought over time.
So
So
you talking about just primary residence, or you talking about investment properties?
investment. So with the depreciation, you can do that on investment properties as
Okay.
well. So like if you had a really good year, and you're a 1099 person, you
Hmm.
know, if you have that property, let's just say you have it in one of your LLCs or under your corporation,
Hmm.
and you have a lot of income, you can let's just say you're going into December and you had 60,000 or 100,000 in profit that
Hmm.
you was going to be carrying over, but you have a property that you own that you just bought maybe a year ago. Let's just say you paid cash for it. You could depreciate that house by, let's say, 50,000, and then that
Hmm.
offsets the 100,000. So now you're only paying
50.
50, right?
Right.
You know
Right.
what I mean?
Yeah. No doubt.
And so I'm not a tax, not an
Right.
accountant, but those are things that you can use to help keep money in your pocket if either it's your primary residence or an investment property. For primary residence, your biggest write-off is going to be the interest on that mortgage payment that you pay
Hmm.
every year. Your second write-off, because you can spread it off over 20 years, is the depreciation of that asset.
Okay.
That can help you. Let's just say you get a windfall of money, you can depreciate a little bit more off of that house to offset the money that you came into. And then as far as investment properties themselves, if you're building a portfolio and you had a good year, you can over depreciate one of your assets so that you don't have
Kind
to
of
pay,
level
so
everything
you don't
out.
have to pay as much in tax.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
No doubt. That's great information.
yeah.
Great
Yeah.
information.
So I mean, I think that's it, man. We appreciate y'all tapping in with us tonight.
No doubt.
Again, always like, comment, share. We appreciate all of the viewers that we got. Numbers on Instagram been running up a little bit, so find us on there as well, tapped in. But we appreciate y'all. We enjoy these conversations, and we hope you all find this useful.
No doubt. We here for y'all, man.
Yeah, for sure.
No doubt.
Appreciate y'all.
Tap in.
Peace.